And welcome to the Daily Space Weather. We're going to forego the music today as there's a lot of stuff to cover. Looking at the sun in 193 angstroms here, we see that active region, now a plage, used to be a sunspot. Very low solar activity. Solar 10.7 centimeter radial flux back down to 68. Let's look at the 171 angstroms view. And here's your local yellow dwarf. In my personally favorite view, I would note that the North Pole coronal hole is looking massive. Possible indication that the North Pole field is weakening once again, and the South Pole coronal hole is looking tiny. So more oddities there in the sun. Let's look at some more stuff. Here's the view from Stereo A's coronagraph, and I would note that there could be an ejection happening right now. You can see there is a plume right here at the end. Let me rock that so you can see. There's a plume extending right now, and once again we could be capturing a coronal mass ejection as we make the show. So, is it luck? Is it divine providence? Is it live? Or is it Memorex? Here's the GOES X-ray imager, and we do see another active region there behind former sunspot 2749, and there does look like there's some activity according to the Gong 2 data, and it's probably going to also be south of the equator. We'll show you the Gong 2 in a minute, but first we'll look at the real-time solar wind. And we did see some geomagnetic current spikes here, all associated with this shift in the phi angle. You can see the BTBZ and the phi angle suddenly shift. That's the arrival of a coronal hole wind stream, folks. We see this uptick in the solar wind density, and we're expecting to see the density drop and the speed go up, as we typically do for a coronal hole wind stream. Let's talk about funding the channel. Thanks, patrons. You are associate producers of these shows, and YouTube pays us precisely zero, and they come up with a different excuse on a weekly basis for why they pay us nothing for the videos. So these videos are monetized for Google and YouTube and not for us. So if you think we're getting paid by Google and YouTube, think again. Our patrons are the source of funding on this channel. So please check out patreon.com/smAsho if you want to see stuff before everybody else. That's the way to do it. Again, 10.7 centimeter radial flux back to 68 solar minimum conditions. I would like to note something on spaceweather.com. Now, there's a lot of YouTube channels out here that are going to tell you that cosmic rays are at the maximum level that they've ever been in the history of mankind. And that's because some organizations are seeking funding, and they're going to tell people lies and not really give a crap about the truth because they're all worried about their funding. So thanks, spaceweather.com. Let me read. Solar minimum is underway. The sun's magnetic field is weak, allowing extra cosmic rays into the solar system. Neutron counts from the University of Oulu's Sodankyla Geophysical Observatory show that cosmic rays reaching Earth in 2019 are near a space-age peak. Notice how they aren't at or above a space-age peak. They were higher around 2009 and 2010, as you can clearly see on the graph. Thanks again, spaceweather.com, for citing the truth. GOES magnetometer is looking pretty spiky, and when you get a bunch of plasma hitting the magnetosphere, you would expect it to be pretty spiky. Here's the Gong 2 data, and we're going to see continued magnetic perturbations and continued sawtooth patterns in the GOES magnetometer. And it does look like there could be another sunspot forming, I would say, once again, south of the solar equator. I won't get into the physics of how this works, as it takes a long time to understand the Gong 2 data. Thanks, viewers, for looking at it daily with us, as we are decreasing entropy in our solar system. GOES X-ray flux is showing a little bit of action there. And, you can see some activity on the GOES X-ray imager earlier also. KP index is at 2. Let's talk about plate tectonics. Now, here's a phys.org article talking about an unusual fault rupture during the Kaikoura quake of 2016. It was a 7.8 magnitude. And this may cause seismologists to need to re-evaluate the way earthquake physics works. And it's all because of this quake and this fault. Now, this fault was not understood or even known about until the quake occurred. Check this out. It follows a path similar to the Clarence River in Marlborough. It produced a 19-kilometer-long surface rupture and shunted a large area of mountainous country up by 8 meters in a matter of seconds. Please leave a comment if you were camping in the mountains and found yourself over 25 feet higher in the air in a matter of seconds. I would be freaked out. Would you be freaked out? Are you aware that ground can suddenly rise or fall like massive amounts because of earthquakes? Anyway, links to the article below the video. Let's look at the current quake situation. Past 24 hours includes just about 24 hours from the shooting of this video. We see 4.7 in Indonesia. Next quake is about 23 hours ago from when we made this. And by the way, it's 4:18. Do you know where your children are? It's 4:18. Do you know where your plate tectonics is? Here's a 4.5 at Tonga. That one's at the surface, in a location we've been seeing deep quakes on the regs. Here's a 4.8 at Russia, east of the Kamchatka Peninsula. Here's a 5.5 in Indonesia. I see the tsunami icon. Let's check out the Tsunami Warning Center. No current warning, advisory, watch, or threats, folks. And for that, we thank you. Now, that occurred a long time ago, and it's not even on the list. Let's go back to the list. Next on it is this 4.3 in Indonesia. Looks like an aftershock of that 5.5. Here's a 4.7 in Indonesia, another aftershock apparently. Here's a deep quake in Tajikistan, this one at 195 kilometers depth. Here's a 4.7 at Indonesia, 4.5 at Chile, a 4.9 at Chile. Western South America is still my favorite spot to see the end of the magnitude 7 earthquake drought. The end of that drought, by the way. Earthquake droughts always end in earthquakes, folks. Here's a 4.8 in the Scotia Sea. Not the Nova Scotia Sea. We're talking about near Antarctica, actually a very far south quake. And last on the list, a 4.1 at Puerto Rico. No tsunami threat issued for that. Global warming update. Greenland is not melting, folks. There it is. There's the snow depth. It's got, oh my gosh, there's only 185 inches of snow there. Oh my gosh, it's freaking melting. Oh my gosh. Sound the alarm bells. Although these areas in dark blue are gaining snow massively. And there's the surface mass balance. And it certainly looks to me like it's right in the middle of a multi-decadal average here. This light gray is, that's the average from 1981 to 2010. That's the data from 1981 to 2010, and the mean is the dark gray line, and you can see we're just above the mean. Here's the sea ice thickness, and you see that purple area around the edge? That's ice that has grown since summer ended. That's the new ice. And you see all this green stuff here? That's ice that never melted over the summer, folks. I don't know if you're aware of how the Arctic works, but there's a lot of climate alarmists that obviously aren't. Now, one thing climate alarmists will not tell you is that there are global crop failures happening. Australia has become a net importer of grain. People are trying to blame Russia for things that Russia's not doing. Here's something they are doing. They're trying to get as many soybeans and wheat to China as they can, as China's scrambling to find soybeans as well as pork. China lost tens of millions of heads of pigs this year as they had an extremely harsh African swine flu outbreak. Tens of millions. China is the largest user of pork, also the largest user of soybeans in the world, which is, not too surprising. The most populous nation in the world with over 1 billion people. Anyway, they're trying to buy stuff from Russia. Now, the U.S. has been shipping soybeans to Brazil and reflagging them to sell to China. Now, China did have a boycott of all U.S. ag products, and this is one of the many reasons why we are against tariffs. We don't want the government interfering in economics because the government sucks at most things that it does. We're interested in the government for things like building roads and having the military and building bridges and police and fire and ambulance. We are not interested in the government being involved in economics. Get rid of the tariffs because there's a global slowdown happening. People are looking for sanctuaries for their money in U.S. bonds, and it's crazy, folks. Precious metal is spiking. Here's a volcano rundown. Shivaluch, still in the list, but volcanic ash not identifiable in satellite imagery. Mount Aso, possible activity. Volcanic cloud unknown. Don't fly over it with your ultralight. You could end up like John Denver. Don't sacrifice yourself to the volcano. Explosive activity continues at Manam, and it's producing a 10,000-foot ash plume. Ulawun, exploding, producing a 10,000-foot ash plume. Dakono exploding, 6,000-foot ash plume there. Popocatépetl, 2 explosions were recorded. They're getting weird with their data, folks. They're getting weird. Keep an eye on Popocatépetl. Revenador exploding, 14,000-foot plume there. Sabancaya exploding, 26,000-foot plume there. Intermittent emissions from Nevados de Chilean. Please don't attempt to do a back handspring over Nevados de Chilean's caldera. Here's the magnetosphere movies. And we do see some spikes coming in here. These are just from magnetism, folks, as well as that coronal wind stream. So you're going to see some hits. And there are some global electric current spikes also. We'll try to get date stamps for you here. Really just a change in the solar wind density. There's that one spike. That was a pretty big one there. That one occurring right around 8 o'clock UTC. So that should be easy to remember, folks, if you're looking for other data. There's your 4 hours of geomagnetic, geospace magnetosphere movie data, courtesy University of Michigan. Here's the ground magnetic perturbations. And if you go to 8 o'clock, there's the ground magnetometers, and there are thousands of them that are measuring the magnetosphere. Nobody is obfuscating the magnetic data. It's not being hidden from you, folks. That's why we show it to you every day on the channel. Anyway, there's that spike occurring right at 8 o'clock UTC, as we did show prep. I didn't feel anything. Please leave a comment if you did. Let's look at the view from the poles real quick. As this should look like spirals, which is no surprise to you electric universe nerds, as you are aware that there is a Birkeland current going into and out of both ends of the planet. And you can see the obvious spiral shape. South Pole appears to be creeping into the Indian Ocean. We've got 2 North Poles. And the main perturbations we see there are at the net of them, which would be somewhere east of Greenland. We've got a North Pole over northern Canada, we got a North Pole over Siberia, and the net is at Greenland. Don't trust your compass up there, folks. Don't trust your compass. Your compass might screw with you if you're in the Arctic. Let that play through a second time, and then we'll move on to more stuff, and there is a ton of stuff to cover, so don't go anywhere. And thanks again, Smash Team. Let's go back to GOES electron flux. Looking pretty normal. We're going to see a big dip in this as a bunch of protons bombard the magnetosphere today. Relativistic electrons have chilled out, and they're going to chill out too, along with the other ones. We don't see any charging hazards, except a little bit over the tropics near Australia. Here's the F2 ionosphere layer, the F2 real-time movie here, looking at 6 hours of data. And we see some charge ups on the sun side there, getting up to 14 megahertz. Nothing too extravagant going on there. And there's the latest image at 8:15 UT. Looks like some anomalies there, as we don't get these straight lines. That's probably some sort of an instrument failure, folks. And let's move on to more stuff. This is where things are in the solar system. There's where they'll be in 1 week, approaching another full moon. Here's where stuff is above my head. If you want to make a star chart for yourself, check out in-the-sky.org. Just come up here, click on charts, click on all sky charts, and put in your zip code, and you'll see where things are. You'll know important information like when Cygnus sets. When does Deneb set for me? It looks like it's about 6:45. Here's the real-time lightning maps, and we see some over the eastern Mediterranean as well as over the Caribbean. Lightningmaps.org. Next time you hear thunder, check it out. And we see some snowfall and as well as some thunderstorms over Texas. The rain is moving away from me finally. We had a dreary day here yesterday in Pennsylvania. Let's break out the water vapor map. As we did see an anticyclonic system dominating the U.S. weather pattern for a couple days, and this is finally starting to break up. Looks like it's finally starting to move out into the ocean there. And this anticyclonic pattern is now over North Carolina, the center of it. When you see a clockwise rotation in the northern hemisphere, folks, that's an anticyclone, and that is associated with positive charge, as opposed to a low pressure system, which rotates counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere and is associated with negative charge. Believe it or not, folks, it's an electrical tidal effect. I won't say anything else besides that. Moving on to the jet stream. There's the jet stream in the east. Extreme meridional jet stream flow both in the northern and southern hemispheres. We see doubled and tripled up jet streams as well as 180-degree turns over short distances. That's what's causing the weird weather, folks. It's not carbon dioxide. The planet is not so hot that it's cold. That ain't the way it works. Yes, the mainstream media will tell you that it's so hot that it's cold. And you can see that anticyclone exactly where I said it was, right at the coast of North Carolina there. Again, extreme meridional jet stream flow. Let's look at the convective forces in the North Pole area. Check out the convective forces. Barely a jet stream, and it's been like that all summer and so far into fall. Let's move on to the That Is Censored, and that is a sinkhole section where we talk about whatever we want, like Washington lawmakers who've decided to vote for racism. Oh yeah, now everybody knows about how Harvard was racistly discriminating against Asian applicants and screwing with their social scores on their admission testing. In other words, Harvard basically was lying on the information about the social behaviors of Asian applicants and is being sued for millions and millions of dollars for all kinds of different things. Well, Washington has decided to stick with affirmative action. They've decided to keep discrimination legal. Links to this article below the video also. We'd like to live in a meritocracy, one of these decades. Were you aware that Google is a complete scam and is not a verb? And if you're using Google as a verb, if you say Google it, what you're saying is obtain biased search results for it. Go to the Google search engine and search something and then go to DuckDuckGo. Now, we don't just like to complain, but we do like to cite Google's fraud on a regular basis. And here's another example of it. Check it out. They come up with a new reason every week or two why it is they don't pay us for these videos. So check this out. Oh, we haven't included tax information. Well, guess what? We don't reach the income requirements to have to pay taxes on this because Google doesn't pay us anything. So this is a screenshot of an email that we received just yesterday. Oh, my payments might be on hold. Are you aware that there are thresholds in Google payouts, folks? If you want to monetize your YouTube channel, do yourself a favor. Don't do it. If you want to see stuff like this, behind the scenes stuff, cycling stuff, purple sunrises, etc., check us out on Instagram, instagram.com/smAshomash. And stop using Google as your search engine because Google is biased. Were you aware? Its algorithms are biased. Google is utterly biased. Donald Trump is right. Google results are biased against Trump and for Hillary. Were you aware that Alphabet donated $34 million to the Hillary Clinton campaign? Eric Schmidt, creepiest man in tech. Do you know who that is? DuckDuckGo won't store your personal information. It won't follow you around with ads, and it won't even track you when you're not in private browsing mode. You want real objective results? DuckDuckGo.com. Don't Google it. Please stop using Google as a verb. It makes my ears bleed. Check out this giant image of the Milky Way. We've put links to this in the description also. This is about a 6,000 pixel image here, and it kind of shows you some of the local stuff, where we are in the galaxy and so on. This is from National Geographic. Super good. Add it to your file collection on your computer so you know where things are in the galaxy. Now, we don't exactly know the shape of the Milky Way. This is just a guesstimate. It does show you where the Vela pulsar and stuff like that are. So check that out in the links below the video. Let's talk about Cygnus A. Cygnus A is the strongest radio source in the sky. This giant radio galaxy estimated to be about 500 million light years distant. I like the way they list the distance of these objects in various different formats. This one's 460 parsecs. Anyway, Cygnus A is an interesting radio source located in the constellation Cygnus. Check out this interactive map on Aladdin Light. Let's do a zoom out. Here's where it is. Cygnus A. Strongest radio source in the entire sky, second only to the sun. Your local yellow dwarf. There's a zoom in. It looks pretty unassuming and visible. And links to this also below the video. So check that out if you like. Also follow us on Minds, minds.com/smAsho, the future of social media, where you won't be censored, you won't be shadow banned, you won't have your content throttled. Be ungoogleable. Be ungoogleable, folks. Stop wading through the quagmire of junkware like Facebook, Google, Twitter, and Apple. We're also on BitChute. We're uploading the raw videos there to help archive our content, as this YouTube channel could be deleted at any time with absolutely no warning and no reason and no ability to appeal and yada, yada, yada. So please follow us here. Press like and subscribe. Press the notification bell. View the premieres with us. Watch our older videos. One of the ways to use our channel, folks, go to the end of the video. Some of the daily space weather information might not be relevant anymore, but the science stories at the end of the videos will remain relevant for who knows how long. Let's talk about the next movie we're going to watch, 9 Lives. Let's play the trailer for this, as I'm sure we won't get banned for playing a trailer, as those are for public release. Take it away, trailer.
The 5 Grand Tower will be the tallest building in North America.
Tom Brand had it all, except time for his family.
When is Daddy gonna come home?
But fate...
Oh my gosh, if you're wondering what happens here, what happens is the character, the evil billionaire played by Kevin Spacey, it's almost like a Scrooge type story here. He gets placed in a coma by a bolt of lightning, and his consciousness gets transferred to this cat, and for the rest of the movie, you've got Kevin Spacey as a cat.
Everything.
Yeah. Look a little ridiculous to you? Oh yeah. We're going to be renting it. It's got Christopher Walken.
I'm sorry? Let's do this.
So yesterday we talked about the new movie Fanatic featuring John Travolta. Check this out.
How do I get out of this? You haven't been there for your family. You have 1 week to reconnect with them, or you're going to be stuck in that cat for the rest of your life.
Does this
Okay, write a message.
Does this look amazing to you? Somehow I don't think this is going to age well. Please leave a comment if you think Kevin Spacey's a pussy.
Seriously?
Oh my gosh. Thanks again, Smash Team, for tuning in. We got more bonus features, and we're just moving on and on. The cosmic web exists. Yeah, I know. Most of you viewing this video were well aware of the cosmic web existing. Finally, it's starting to osmotically filter down into mainstream science. I guess I've just scrolled the whole article there. If you want to read it just on our YouTube channel, just pause the video. And there's the whole article talking about the way things like galaxies at the intergalactic scale are connected by filaments of gas and dust. Who knew? I did. Did you? I did. Check out this view of the Milky Way. I don't know why we're on it. Let's see if I can figure it out. I know why. It's because people are wondering if galaxies and solar systems, and indeed the planet, and indeed the sun, and the whole universe acts like a fountain. Do they act like fountains, or do they act like vacuum cleaners, folks? That's the question. How do the galactic cores really behave? Well, there's some new conjecture going out there about the fact that these things may behave like fountains, where they spit energy out, and then they suck energy back in, and then they spit energy out, and then they suck energy back in, and they exchange a little bit of material and electrical charge with each other. Seems logical to me. Links to this article also below the video description. They're calling this a messy, chaotic galaxy, and I think that's a fantastic. How is that a messy, chaotic galaxy? Look at the spiral arms. Again, read the article. It's important cosmology, and it fits right into all of the... Welcome to the Neo-Renaissance, folks, as astrophysics, physics, and cosmology are getting rewritten on the daily basis. It's exciting stuff, folks. It's an exciting time to be alive. Extraplanar diffuse ionized gas in NGC 5775. We linked this article also below the video, and to prevent it from getting too long, it's about over. We've also linked this, which is NGC 5775, the New Galactic Catalog. This is it in radio, and it's a bit of an oblong galaxy there. There's probably an orientation issue going on here, but again, it's an edge-on disk, and an interesting article here about emission line spectroscopy and so on. It's got this odd vertically extended multi-phase gaseous halo, and that's why we linked to the article below the video. Stay tuned for one more bonus feature, folks, just one. And how about a little colorized magnetogram? Gives us some idea of any magnetic formations suddenly popping into existence. We do see some X-rays coming out of these rising regions here. A couple of plages there, at least 3 plages happening right around the equator. Looks like cycle 24 activity to me. What say you, the viewer? We are out of here. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Remember, press like and subscribe. Please share on social media. Tell your friends about our daily space weather videos. Tell your local astronomy club. Tell your favorite physics nerd. Remember, when you're staring at the sun, don't drink, and if you drink, stare at the sun anyway. Just don't drive, and since it'll never be now again, may that solar wind be at your back and that atherosclerosis absent from your veins.